Thanks to everyone for being here. Hour 2 of Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat and the new collaboration with IrishBreakdown.com and IB Nation Sports Beat. My name is Sean Stiers. I am the quote-unquote main host of the show. Vince D'Addario and Jesse Stiers are here as well. And this will be one of the few times that we're actually all three together. But I thought that since it was day one, it would be great if we could all three be here. Actually, neither one of them is going to be here tomorrow. But tell you what, I feel comfortable saying this because I got confirmation today. Pat Garrity is going to join me at the start of tomorrow's show.
I'm jelly.
Notre Dame men's and women's basketball general manager Pat Garrity will start off tomorrow's show, and then Trevor Trowbridge will be the lucky one who gets to follow him with the second segment of the show tomorrow. So that's what we've got going on tomorrow's show. So we're obviously looking forward to that. But we're glad to have everybody with us, whether you're watching live on the YouTube streams at irishbreakdown.com or at Sports Radio WSBT. You can watch on either live YouTube stream. You can, of course, listen on the radio, 960 AM, 106.1 FM. You can also download the podcast and listen on the Irish Breakdown podcast. All these shows are still going to be going up on the Irish Breakdown podcast, and you can also listen to them on demand at sportsradiowsbt.com. And you can also listen in the WSBT app. It's like I need a freaking list of every way you can watch or listen. But there are a lot of ways to listen, which is one of the things that is so cool about this. So people are asking, can we do old radio calls? I'm not sure about on that.
There's options for stuff for us to do, and we are going to experiment. We're going to do some different things, and this is day one. Not everything's all hammered out. You know how it goes, and we have to be able to do what we can do without getting demonetized. That's obviously an important piece of this, and
right.
So
that's part of the thing. We can't play copyrighted materials in the
Correct.
YouTube stream because of what Vince just said. You play copyright, then you're not allowed to monetize because you're playing somebody else's material, basically. So there's a lot of different hoops to jump through in terms of getting all that stuff figured out. But
we'll get there.
Appreciate you being here, no matter how you're here.
100%. We'll get you entertained. I promised you will be entertained, folks. And I know, look, these commercial breaks are weird for us too. It's like I don't know what to do with myself. It's like Ricky Bobby with his hands. He's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do during the commercial break. So yeah, it's new for us too. We'll get it all figured out.
We'll get it figured out. But we again appreciate you sticking through on day one. We'll work through some different things. Probably day 30 is not going to look like day one.
Agreed.
So in different ways, but we will all be here one way or the other. So we've come to the point in the show where we do something called rapid fire. And I ask you guys if you are ready for rapid fire.
How could you not be ready for rapid fire, baby? Let's go.
Okay. So we've got some more from Marcus Freeman. Notre Dame and Miami used to be a heated rivalry, but of course they haven't played much in recent years. Shay Cornett on SportsCenter last week, when Marcus Freeman was with her, asked Freeman if he has to explain that Miami rivalry to his team.
It's important to know the history, right? It's important to know the great events, the great games, the great players that have come before you, because then you have a sense of honor and duty to the program you're at. And so we'll do a good job of making sure they understand the importance of that game, especially in '88 that went on to be the last national championship that Notre Dame has won. And so we'll understand that. We understand the challenge that the University of Miami will present, but we look forward to that competition. That's why we're in this game.
So I guess my question is, do we even consider Miami a rival anymore? Was Jesse shaking his head? Go ahead.
Yeah, Jesse, this is before, their rivalry stuff was before your time, so I want you to answer this.
Before he was even born.
Yeah.
No, I don't think Notre Dame is a rival. Notre Dame and Miami are rivals, today. I think they were rivals in the past. To me, a rivalry is an established, long relationship where you're playing year in and year out. Notre Dame has a couple rivalries on the schedule right now. One of them might be leaving because they're scared of who Notre Dame is these days, and we'll probably talk about that at some point on this show. But to me, it's important, like Marcus Freeman said, you have to understand the history and meaning, but let's just be honest and get to it at the end of the day. It's game freaking one of the 2025 season. If you're not fired up and hyped up and ready to punch someone in the mouth like they were entering Texas A&M last season, then you're not playing the right kind of football. You don't. Marcus Freeman doesn't need to present this as a rivalry or try to get any extra juice out of his players. Again, this is the start of a season on the heels of a national championship appearance, and we all know that the front end of this schedule is going to be some of their toughest challenge. So, yeah, no, it's not a rivalry anymore, but that doesn't mean it can't be, a great game and ultimately something that gets Notre Dame fired up to play football at the end of the day.
Yeah, look, it's not a rivalry. I don't care what anybody says. It was a heated series. I will go that far. It was a heated series that ended abruptly because it was getting out of hand. That doesn't make a rivalry. That just makes Miami beat the crap out of Notre Dame, and then Notre Dame finally came back and won against them. And that's not a rivalry. That's a heated series. And
I might disagree with that.
And that's fine. You are more entitled to disagree because it's before my time too, to be perfectly honest with you.
Right.
And Miami has not been a rivalry for Notre Dame in the last 30 years, in my opinion. And so to get up for this game, does it have to be a rivalry? No. Does he have to explain to Notre Dame players the history of this matchup? Absolutely. Because there's no chance that they know the history of this matchup. And that's all part of it. You want to teach them the history. But at the end of the day, I like the fact that Notre Dame relies on tradition. They teach the kids about the tradition and all of those things. I love it. It's not going to have anything to do when they strap it up game one. It's going to have zero to do with that game. What has to do with this game is that going into the season, both these teams are going to be ranked in the top 10, maybe the top 5, depending on whatever. And it's a huge game because of that. It's game one. Like, that's all that matters.
Right. You were a young pup still, Vince, in '87, and
I was 6
when like this. But so it's hard to remember that, like, even though sort of like that '88 was the zenith of bad blood, and it continued a little bit past that, because I think they played one more year after that, but they were playing every year. So in terms of rivals back then, it was USC, it was Michigan, and Miami in whatever order it was, and like Notre Dame and Michigan would kick off the season against each other. So like, just like this one. So like right out of the gate, you knew you were going to have a great game. And more times than not, you knew that whether you won or you lost that game against Michigan to open up the season, that was probably how your season was going to go. Like, are you going to be a contender or not? And while Miami came a little bit later on the schedule, and yeah, there was huge bad blood. There were fights in the tunnels and all, like that's ultimately why the thing got discontinued. But I fully consider this was a rivalry back then. But the fact of the matter is they've only played a handful of times over the last 35, 36 years because they did cancel the series because it did get so bad. So it was a rivalry at one point. It is no longer a rivalry. I don't think we need to talk about it like a rivalry. Do you need to understand the history and all that? Yeah. But at the same time, if you have to explain why something is a rivalry to a bunch of guys, it's not a rivalry. That's this, like end of story. I understand why ESPN wants to build it up that way because it's better TV for them and they can try to, angle it in that direction, but it's just straight up not a rivalry. And Christopher says, like we were talking about last week, just put Jimmy and Lou in a room with their canes and let them, go at it. 2 men enter and 1 man leaves with their cane or their wheelchair or whatever they happen to have with them. I think that would be a lot of fun as well.
I mean, the bottom line is the all-time series is 17-8-1 with Notre Dame, leading that series. And over the last, let's see here, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meetings, Notre Dame's 4-1, right? And if you go back 2 more meetings, they're 5-2. So it's like, it's just not what it used to be. I completely agree. In the 80s, this was a rivalry, no doubt about it. It was a rivalry in the 80s. And after 1990, they didn't play for 20 years, And so it did. And that was only because it was a bowl game.
Yeah. They went until that Sun Bowl, that snowy Sun Bowl. And that was, ironically, Al Golden had just become the head coach at Miami.
Right.
Remember, he was watching from the press box. He wasn't even coaching that team, but that was, when he was becoming the head coach. And then obviously Golden would go on to be a big part of Marcus Freeman's success at Notre Dame. So, yeah. And look, they haven't played in 8 years either. I do want to see them play more often. I would be all for that. And supposedly we're going to get to see them start playing more often. But rivalry, no, not at this point.
Agreed.
Used to be, yeah, very bitter.
Oh, yeah. It was heated. I mean, it was so heated they canceled it. It doesn't get any more heated than that. They canceled the dang thing because they're worried about player safety and they're worried about fan safety and all of those things, right? And look, the last time Notre Dame played Miami, it didn't go well for Notre Dame. And it was down in Miami, and that crowd was hostile, man. Hostile. And Notre Dame did not handle it well. I do not anticipate that being a repeat performance by Notre Dame.
Yep. Marcus Freeman was on the Today Show as well in New York City last week. And since it was NBC, they kind of used the opportunity to promote the Here Come the Irish show on the Peacock streaming platform, NBC, Peacock, and all that kind of stuff. They asked Freeman about having the cameras around all the time last year and if it was a nuisance.
Yeah, it took some convincing to think about all the cameras, the mics, and the distractions. And we really started to implement it last spring. And it was a good trial run. And it became like they were a part of the team. You didn't notice they were there. They feel like they were part of the staff. And I think everybody kind of dropped their guards and just became natural.
Did you ever find yourself, though, like maybe in your mind thinking, maybe I don't want to say it this way, or maybe I want to choose different words since the cameras are rolling, or no?
Early,
yeah,
I did.
Okay.
But then it just, again, became natural. And I said, they might have to edit that. There's some things I might have to edit.
Yeah, you know what to do.
All right, so there's Marcus Freeman on the Today Show talking about Here Come the Irish. If Notre Dame hadn't gone as far as they did in the college football playoff last year, all the way to the national championship game, do you think that doing this series, do you think it might have been a bigger issue to some people? Would we hear some complaints about, should they really be doing this and that kind of thing?
I would say if they didn't make the playoffs, it would have been more of a talking point.
Okay.
But I think a lot of fans were satisfied with just making the playoffs and obviously winning that first round matchup at home against Indiana. But I think if they didn't make the playoffs and that loss with NIU probably being the reason why they didn't make the playoffs, then it would become a talking point, because that's when things become relevant, is when a team loses. It's like when Notre Dame wears the uniforms. Everyone wants to blame their sufferings on what uniform Notre Dame is wearing that day. So, that's kind of when these things become problems, is when you start losing. But when you win and you clear expectations, then those things kind of are lost in the back of a lot of people's minds.
Right. Like Kevin Fetters is saying, Here Come the Irish was an awesome series. Yeah, especially considering you got some bonus episodes.
I mean, imagine if they went 8-4, though.
Yeah, exactly. And you lost to Northern Illinois, and that's my point. I feel like you lose to Northern Illinois, and if that season doesn't rebound, I feel like there would be a lot of griping about the fact, it's all a distraction. They shouldn't have been doing that kind of thing. What do you think, Vince?
Yes, because people look for excuses like that. That's why it would have been a hot topic. Remember when they lost to NIU, it was Anthony Tresch's fault because he was whispering into Marcus Freeman's ear the entire time.
Right.
People
who's
are
that
going
guy? Who's the skinny guy?
Right.
He's talking to him.
That was the lead story to talk about. It was
not
so
every guy has an on sideline analytic guy talking to him the whole game.
It was so annoying, that whole week, and it took probably 2 or 3 weeks for that part to die down, even after they throttled Purdue, the next week. But so yes, people would find an excuse and they would complain about it. But here's the reality of the situation: watch any college football game, and you will see a staffer multiplied by 10 running around with cameras in these kids' faces on the sidelines. They're everywhere, whether you're having an actual documentary or whether it's the in-house media group that's putting out, social media highlights and things from practice and things from games and, all of those things. Those cameras are absolutely everywhere. And I just think it's normal anymore. You know what I mean? Especially if you're at the University of Notre Dame.
You're trying to say every team has their own Connor Stallions. Is that what you're referring to?
I'm saying every team has people with cameras in their faces, for sure. Absolutely.
No, especially today. Like if you don't have social media, because like that's part of like there was already a social media presence. I did notice not this spring, but last spring that Marcus Freeman was referencing, there were definitely like more cameras, and you would see guys, like at the player like post-practice press conferences and stuff like that. They would have the big boom mics and stuff like that, picking up sound.
Right.
There was definitely, and I remember asking somebody, I was like, what's this all about? What's with the microphones? And they said, it's for the Peacock series. Yeah, exactly. So,
but then that just becomes the norm. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It gave them time. It gave them time to, to become accustomed to it. And then, like they said, at some point, it just becomes like you don't even recognize it anymore. It's like I live by the highway. And when we first moved out of the city to the highway, all I noticed was the freaking noise on the highway with the traffic all the time. But now after living there for 6 years, I barely notice it.
It's white noise.
Yeah.
It's white noise because we live next to the toll road as well. And if you really hone in on it, yes, you can hear it. And it almost sounds weird now to be someplace else at night when you can't hear the highway. It's just white noise. And so it's this exact same thing. And that's the way Marcus Freeman kind of explained it, right? He's like, in the spring, it was annoying, but then we got used to it, So I hope they do it every year, frankly.
Mikkel says the NIU loss made it a better series / show.
Added drama.
Yes, because again, they end up playing 16 games and getting to the national championship game. I guarantee you, if they were 9-3 or 8-4 and they lost to Northern Illinois, you wouldn't be saying that the NIU loss made it a better show.
No doubt.
Year. It's a better show because you had a lot more gloss at the end. Things ended up, going well by the time it was all said and done. But they are doing another season of Here Come the Irish this upcoming season. What is one thing you would like to see them do this season?
Ooh, that's an easy one for me. When we went and we spoke with Marcus Freeman, in May, one of the things that was asked about was the role of Anthony Tresh and how they operate and things like that, right? And so,
good one.
I would love that. He says they have meetings at the beginning of the week and then at the end of the week, and they talk strategy and they talk about games.
Go through some of that stuff. Let people see.
Exactly. I want to be in one of those meetings and see, okay, which games did they watch this past weekend that are going to influence, the game coming up, and just what do those meetings sound like? What do they look like? What are they talking about? That's what I want to hear.
I'm going to be honest, Vince, when you said, you got that closed door meeting with Marcus Freeman, I thought you were going to say that you wanted to see that so that you could be on the show.
No, I don't want to be on the show.
Where I thought you were going.
So. I'm not going to turn it down. Okay. I mean, this is clearly a face for radio.
Okay. Okay.
But no, I want to see that meeting. That's what I want to see.
I think that's really good. That would be great behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Vince's answer is going to be better than mine for once. So I'll let that slide.
I'll take it. Check.
But I'm more of, I like to see kind of like the in-game war room situations. Maybe, in the locker room where they're on the whiteboard and they're really trying to figure out, defensively what the offense is doing to them. Or like that Duke kind of moment from a couple years ago that the media team put together where you hear all the coaches kind of going through the thought process of, okay, be ready 2 plays down the road. We need a man, or, we need a man beater. What are our best man plays right now? Okay. And then how it kind of starts at the top and then ultimately filters down to Marcus Freeman or the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and what the actual final, opinion is going to be. So I like to see some of the more of like the in-game really pressure situations and how they're kind of going about their thought process.
Yeah, I like that because that Duke thing that they did, I still said that is one of the – now, it wasn't even for the Peacock series because they did it obviously 2 seasons ago. They only did it on social media. That is one of the best this kind of, that is basically like a Hard Knocks type thing, like when you see, like all the – and that's the stuff that I really – like the most is that kind of stuff, like the mic'd up stuff when you've got coaches communicating during games. But I really legitimately feel like that thing that Fighting Irish Media did for that Duke game with the coaches' headsets where they're all talking to each other with all that, that's one of the best things of that niche that I think that I've ever seen. And they definitely need to do more of that. My thing that I would like to see them do, now I'll see what you think about this. I feel like this is fairly specific. Maybe it's doable. I don't know. I would like to see them chronicle a player who lost his job, but he walks around telling everyone how he gave up his spot on his own because it would have been too much work to be number one on the depth chart, and he's just better off not being number one. He's better off, not bearing that kind of responsibility. He's not better off being the guy, because he's going to have a lot of extra time, like to do his own thing or whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't know how realistic that is, but I feel like that would be like a really good behind the scenes kind of piece. If you could, follow that kind of story.
Just too much on his plate. He had to get some stuff off the plate, kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, just to see how he would react to that and what really put himself out there on social media so that people could feel sorry for him, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah.
Perfect.
Agreed.
Budweiser's weekday sports beat with IrishBreakdown.com on Sports Radio WSBT.
We keep on rocking on WSBT and the Irish Breakdown platforms as well. You can watch us live on either of the YouTube streams, IrishBreakdown.com or WSBTRadio.com. We welcome a Penn State troll to the show. Penn State Sports Talk is with us, and he says, I would like to hear what Freeman has to say, even though there's no media days for Notre Dame.
Oh,
that's right. Notre Dame doesn't have to do media days because they do their own thing. They go on national TV and they get on the Today Show and Good Morning America and Sports Center and everything else, and not the Big Ten Network. So I think that there might be a little more carriage for those shows than Big Ten Network. What do you guys think?
I mean, they don't need a media day. They're independent. They don't need a bunch of other schools to come prop them up. They can go do it on their own. It's amazing.
It was really funny. I like how the Penn State trolls are the newest kind of train member that have entered the chat ever since, they were bitterly beat to go on to the national championship. And really, that's all you have to say is, what has Penn State really accomplished over the last 10 to 15 years?
They're not even on the schedule this year, and we've got Penn State trolls.
I know.
It's crazy.
It's
crazy.
They're just bitter.
Let's continue with some rapid fire because we do have more to get to before the show ends. Penn State Sports Talk says the rematch is coming. I mean, I hope so because
me too.
It's great football
playoffs, and they're going to play in significant games. I think that would be awesome. I would love to see it one way or the other. It was a great game last year. We've all given credit where credit is.
It was a great game.
It was a great game. One team made a couple more plays than the other team, when all was said and done, right?
But based on social media, you wouldn't think that was the case.
No, I know. So Irish running back Jeremiyah Love was part of Notre Dame's New York media blitz last week. They asked him on College Football Live what his expectations are for this season.
Expectations, this season I just want to be better than I was last season. I'm not really going into this season, thinking like, oh, I got to win a national championship. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to win this award. I just want to be better than I was last year. I want to be the best version of myself that I can possibly be. And I feel like that's how everybody on the team thinks. I feel like, everybody's not, too focused on like material or like individual glory.
So there he is, Jeremiyah Love. Rate that answer, scale of 1 to 10.
For me, it's a 10 out of 10 at the end of the day, Vince. Sorry to cut you
good.
off, but every time I hear Jeremiyah Love and knowing the player that he is, I just get really fired up. And to hear a guy that is so selfless and say, it's not about the personal accolades. It's not about setting, I need to get 20 touchdowns, 1,500 rushing yards, be a Heisman finalist, be a Doak Walker finalist, all of these things that he could talk about because he is one of the best players in the country and he is going to be the best player on Notre Dame's offense this season. But it's about how can I be the best version of myself? How can I just be better than what I was last season? Because last season, clearly it wasn't enough. So what can I give to the team to be better for us to, in this case, win a national championship?
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect answer. Not surprising. I mean, he knew what he was going to say before he even started the interview because he's a seasoned pro. And, as Marcus Freeman says, with team glory comes individual glory. And so as long as he gets better than he was last year and works a little harder or whatever the case may be, whatever the definition of that is for him, If he does that, everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, and he's obviously not going out on any limbs, and guaranteeing anything like, he's not talking about like a yardage goal or a touchdown goal or whatever. I just want to get better, and I think that's the thing for him. And as we spin it then, and you look at Jeremiyah Love, as good as he is, if you're going to pick one area for Love specifically to improve this year, what would it be, Vince?
I think for him, it would be, health, obviously. Now that you can't really control that, but, he was injured towards the end of the season and it hindered him. I think just proving to, scouts and NFL teams and all of that, look, you can stay healthy and still play at a high level for the entire season. So I think just durability, if he's durable and he's healthy the entire season, he'll be just fine.
Jess?
I think durability, like Vince talked about, I think that showing that he can be a third down back. I know he's not a guy that they want to run out there every down, and they're always going to be a snap count, but I don't think that should put you in the frame of, okay, well, Jeremiyah Love is playing 20 snaps, and of those 20 snaps, they're only going to come on first or second down. I think he needs to be a complete down back. He needs to be able to guy who can get it done on first down, or maybe someone on third down that needs to pass protect on a long 3rd and 10. And this kind of came up too in his evaluation that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember
Todd McShay evaluation. Yeah.
Todd McShay evaluation. I just think the ability to be a super polished receiver out of the backfield, because I think in this offense with CJ Carr, there's going to be more of that RPO action where he's not necessarily pulling the ball and running it like Riley Leonard all the time, but he's going to have the ability to flip the ball out to Jeremiyah Love in the flat, or maybe on a slant route or a route over the middle, or maybe a wheel route going down the field. But if he can polish up those hands and be a guy who's a threat to take the ball to the house, whether he's running the ball or catching the ball out of the backfield, I think that would, just really take his game to the next level.
Yeah, I think third down is like the specific area. And I agree, like pass protection and just receiving skills. Those are, I think, especially from an NFL perspective, like what NFL guys are looking, like he's good in pass protection. Can he take another step in pass protection? Like little things like that. Can he be a factor in the pass game? I think that he can. It's a matter of, are they going to involve him in the pass game more this year? Because like he can be legit,
though, because of his profile into the NFL. Like that is what the NFL is about these days.
Right. I want to, because we're starting to run short on time. We do go till 7:00, but again, we do have commercial breaks that we've got to play on this show. SEC Media Days were last week, so all the coaches in their conference had their chance to talk. Missouri head coach Eli Drinkwitz floated his idea for what amounts to a 30-team college football playoff. Here he is.
It's not really something that's outrageous. It's based off of the 12-team playoff where you had automatic qualifiers, but now we've decided we want to expand it to 16. So instead of doing 11 and 5, which you're going to put 11 teams in the hands of a human committee that nobody's going to agree. They're all going to have implicit bias. Why would we even do that? I mean, nobody thinks that the NCAA, we spend hours arguing about who was the 69th and 70th team in the NCAA tournament. What do you think we're going to do with the 11 there? So why not expand the opportunities, give 4 play-in games to the SEC, 4 play-in games to the Big Ten, 3 to the ACC, 3 to the Big 12, and say, man, create more opportunities for the fan bases to get excited, create more opportunities for players to compete for championships. And that doesn't sit well with probably some of the blue bloods who are going to consistently be ranked in preseason rankings in the top 25 explicitly because of their names, not necessarily because of their teams, but because of the brand bias that we have in college football. Instead, make people earn it. Make people earn it on the field. Let's have less talk, which doesn't do great for these kind of events. And let's settle it on the football field. And to me, that's what play-in games are. If you're telling me in the SEC, hey, you got to finish in the top 8 for a chance to compete for a playoff berth, that's doable. This is the hardest conference in college football. Yeah, it is, but you got to figure out a way to be 8.
Okay, so there's a lot there. This 30-team proposal that Eli Drinkwitz talking about, is essentially including the play-in games. Is he referenced a couple times at the, like that the conferences are talking about doing. So, I mean, it sounds a little bigger when you're talking, when you say 30 teams, but you're essentially playing some of these play-in games at the end of your regular season before the actual playoffs
Which
start.
is part of the playoffs, though. Like,
right. But this is also, let's just be honest. This is a mid to lower tier SEC head coach whose program has been better the last couple of years, granted, but he's looking for a way to get his team into the playoff. And that's what this is all about.
100%. Absolutely. That was hey, coach, how would you like to get Missouri a guaranteed spot in the playoff? Well, we gotta go to 30 teams, and that's what we're going to do, and we're going to earn it on the field. Okay, you're going to earn it on the field. That's what the regular season is for. You earn it on the field. Teams aren't getting in just because of the name on the front of their jersey. They're getting in based on their resume. There were plenty of good teams that are historically good teams. I don't know, Alabama, for one, didn't get in because they didn't earn it on the field.
Right.
You can't tell me in any year, Sean, that there are 30 teams with the possibility of being good enough to win the national championship. That's not possible. That's not possible because there's going to be teams that are, we only do a top 25. So you're talking about 5 potential teams that aren't even ranked that get into this tournament. Come on, give me a break, man. No, this is ridiculous.
Jesse, real quick.
Pure garbage.
There you
All right,
go.
perfect. Jesse, last week on the show, end of the week, I mentioned that you did a strongman competition at the Elkhart County Fair a few years ago. We've got about 3 minutes to get this in here. From Double R 2.0, he wants to know about the strongman competition. What's your recollection of that? You're still muted.
See, I was so afraid to talk during the break. So yeah, that was, I think I was going into my junior year of college. I would spend all summer training at a CrossFit gym, and the guys talked me into it. And I was like, you know what, I'll do it. And so, really tested my ego out at the time. I got humbled a little bit. I'm not going to lie, but I remember, I think it was like a four-part event. The first event was like a weighted carry uphill. That one was pretty challenging. Another one was a tractor pull. So you're hooked up to a tractor and you have to pull the rope. So you're pulling the tractor behind you. Another one was log flips. So it was kind of on, a pendulum. So you'd flip a log back and forth and get it, up and down, kind of similar to tire flips basically. But, the log was a bit heavier and took a little bit more to kind of get over to the point where it'd flip. I did really well on that one. And then also there was like a farmer's walk through like an obstacle course that you had to do as well. So only did it one time. It was a lot of fun. That tractor was a lot heavier than I anticipated. And walking uphill with a lot of weight was really hard as well. But again, it was a really fun experience.
I remember you did pretty well, it seemed like. Do you remember what you placed in that thing? Because it was like all ages.
I did bad on the first event, and it really kind of...
I remember the tractor pull messed you up because like you were so focused on trying to keep that rope taut.
Yeah.
That it like you were too focused on that instead of just going and using your legs and getting going. And
I was really hyper focused on getting going, and then I finally got it going and got the momentum going a little bit. But I didn't do too bad.
John wants to know if we have any footage. Unfortunately, no.
I think we have a picture of the tractor pull
from back in the day. But
yeah.
All right, we got about a minute before we wrap up this first day of Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with the Irish Breakdown here on Sports Radio WSBT. My name is Sean Stiers, Vince D'Addario, Jesse Stiers as well. Glad you were with us here today. Appreciate you being here. And again, a million different ways to watch or listen to this show. The 2 YouTube channels, Irish Breakdown, Sports Radio WSBT's YouTube channel. You can subscribe there. And I'm trying to think. The WSBT app, 960 AM, 106.1 FM, on-demand audio at sportsradiowsbt.com. Vince, any final thoughts before we wrap this up on day one?
Day one, there were some bugs, but it's going to be great. I'm so excited about this venture, and if everybody hangs with us, they will be entertained.
Yes.
It was fast. It was fun, and I think as we go on, I think there's gonna be fun aspects that are added to the show. Like this is a show that is going to be tailored for the listeners and the people. So there'll be fun ideas bounced around and probably newer segments that roll through. So just be patient, hold on with us, and if you have suggestions, just say them in a nice way.
Automatic for the people. That's what it is. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you tomorrow on Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat.